There are forests where sound doesn't behave the way it should, where footsteps carry too far, and silence feels like it's leaning in to listen. Places where the trees grow so thick the sky becomes something distant, something you forget exists. And at night, those places don't just feel dark, they feel occupied. Deep in one of those forests stood a fire lookout tower. Old wood, narrow stairs, a single room rising above miles of trees. It had been built decades ago, back when fires were spotted by human eyes instead of satellites, back when silence was part of the job. That summer, the man assigned to the tower was Owen Hale. Owen didn't mind being alone. In fact, he preferred it. No traffic, no noise, no constant interruptions. Just wind, trees, and stillness. At least that's what he thought he signed up for. The first time he saw one, it was just after midnight. Owen stood on the balcony, a mug of coffee warming his hands, staring out at the dark canopy below. The forest was still, too still, and then something moved. At first he thought it was a deer, but the shape stood upright. A man stepped into a thin beam of moonlight, walking alone miles from anywhere. "Hey!" Owen called down. The man didn't stop, didn't look up, didn't react. He just kept walking. Step, pause, step, pause. The rhythm felt wrong. Not tired, not lost. Intentional. Owen leaned forward. "Hey, you okay?" Nothing. The man continued north until the tree swallowed him. Owen stayed there longer than he meant to, listening, but the forest gave nothing back. By the third night, there were 4 of them. Different directions, same movement, same silence, all heading north. Owen grabbed his binoculars. One of them, a woman, passed through a break in the trees. Her feet caught the light, and Owen felt his stomach drop. She was barefoot, walking over rocks and roots without flinching, without slowing, without a single mark on her skin. No cuts, no bruises, nothing. Just steady movement. Step, pause, step, pause. He shouted again, waved his flashlight. Nothing. Not one of them reacted. They simply kept walking, as if the forest ahead mattered more than anything behind them. At night 6, Owen woke suddenly. No noise, no dream, just awake. The tower was silent, the forest below even quieter. Then he heard it. Not a voice, not exactly. A sound hiding inside the silence. A low, steady hum. So faint it felt more like something he felt than heard. He stepped onto the balcony and froze. There were at least a dozen people in the trees, all walking, all facing north. And as they moved, the sound became clearer. Not louder, sharper, like it was adjusting to him. Owen gripped the railing, and for a moment, just a moment, he felt something impossible. A pull. Not on his body, on his sense of direction. Like something inside him suddenly knew exactly where north was. Not as a concept, but as a certainty. His foot shifted, just slightly. Then, he stepped back. The feeling vanished, but his heart wouldn't stop racing. The 9th night changed everything. One of them stopped right below the tower. A man, standing perfectly still, facing north. Owen leaned over the railing. "Hey, can you hear me?" Slowly, The man turned his head upward and looked directly at him. His eyes weren't empty, they were focused, but not on Owen. Through him, like Owen wasn't the point. The man's lips parted, and for a second, Owen thought he heard something. Not from the man, from somewhere deeper in the woods. A whisper beneath the hum. The man's lips moved again, and Owen realized something that made his chest tighten. He wasn't speaking, he was listening. Then, a slow smile spread across his face. Too deliberate, too controlled. And he turned back north and continued walking. Step, pause, step, pause. Owen didn't sleep that night. They came every night, more each time. Owen started tracking everything. Numbers, descriptions, clothing. And then he noticed something worse. They were coming from farther away. Some of them didn't belong to this region at all. Different styles, different climates, different places. This wasn't local. This was spreading. And for the first time, Owen realized something worse than being alone in the forest. He wasn't the only one hearing it. By the second week, he couldn't ignore it anymore. He grabbed the radio. Static filled the tower. Then, Tower 7, go ahead. Owen hesitated. I've got people in the forest. How many? Owen looked out. More shapes were moving now. Too many. A pause. Are they hikers? Owen watched one pass through the trees, barefoot, unaware. No, they're not hikers. They came faster than expected. Rangers, medics, search teams, engines breaking the silence below the tower. At first, they treated it like a missing persons situation. Until night fell, and they saw them. Dozens moving through the trees like shadows with purpose. That's when everything changed. They moved in, tracked individuals, tried to stop them. Nothing worked. No resistance, no panic, no confusion. Just movement. Step, pause, step, pause. North. So they followed. And the deeper they went, the more the forest changed. No animals, no insects, no wind. Just that hum. Clear now, constant, unavoidable. And the walkers began to align, spacing themselves perfectly, like something ahead was organizing them. The radio crackled late that night, voices overlapping, panicked. Something's ahead. Static. Then, it's not. A sound cut through. Not fear, recognition. Then silence. Back at the tower, the hum filled Owen's head. Stronger than ever. Clear, certain. North. He stepped toward the stairs, hand gripping the railing, looking down. The direction felt obvious, right, inevitable. His foot moved. Then, he stopped. Something inside him resisted. Barely, but enough. He stepped back, shaking. Because for that moment, it hadn't felt like a choice. Weeks later, a military helicopter arrived. They found Owen still watching, still listening, still holding on to something fragile. They flew north, and then they saw it. A clearing perfectly circular, trees pushed outward. Thousands of people stood inside, perfectly still. all facing the same direction. The cave, dark, waiting. The hum stopped. Total silence. Then a breath. Deep, massive from inside the cave. The entire crowd tilted their heads at the same time, listening, waiting. Another breath. Then one person stepped forward. Not quickly, not hesitantly, perfectly timed. Gone. Another breath. Another step. Gone. The line moved with each inhale, like something inside was choosing. The helicopter crew didn't speak, didn't move. They just watched until the last person disappeared, and the cave went still again. The forest was sealed, roads closed, maps changed, the tower dismantled. Owen was taken away. He never spoke publicly again, but one thing made it into a report. Something he said quietly, only once. I could still hear it, even after I left. If you ever find yourself in a forest where the silence feels heavier than it should, where the air feels like it's waiting, and you suddenly become certain, completely certain, which way to go, don't follow it, because you might not be lost. You might have already been given a direction. And if that happens, you won't panic, you won't run, you won't question it. You'll just start walking. Step, pause, step, pause. And the deeper you go, the less it will feel like you're choosing the path, and more like the path has already chosen you. If you made it this far, you might have heard it too. That quiet pull just beyond the silence. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to Midnight Delight. New stories every week. Just be careful. The more you listen, the easier it is to hear it again. Good night.